anybody that's watching that doesn't know, Matt Jarbo used to be one of the main culprits. As he likes to remind me, he's basically single-handedly responsible for Gamergate.
So, no.
Should I do a deep dive?
I am not. Go ahead.
I find as a content creator on here, I spent time putting together a 5-part series called The History of the Arrowverse. And it was 5 like 15 to 30 minute videos that set up different segments of that universe. And I put it out and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is going to do really good. Cause I mean, I did it like a documentary, very well done. And then to see that it doesn't get the same traction as me reading an article. And I'm like, why is it me reading an article get like, 5,000-6,000 views, but the video that I do where I spent like, weeks and months working on, it doesn't get pushed out by YouTube.
I feel that hard, man. The first time that really hit me, and it hit me pretty hard, was kind of early on in the channel. I'd had some success with the Watchmen video I did, and then I did the Punisher videos, which did pretty well too. And then in the same vein, I was like, I'm going to cover Westworld season 3. And I was super hyped about it, the same way I was about the other two. I was just thinking about it a lot, writing about it, and it just didn't really catch on. I think it still hasn't even cracked 1,000 views. And like, considering how much time and effort I put into it, that hit pretty fucking hard. And then, yeah, like you said, I can just do some easy video where I just basically superficially talk about something that happened, and it takes me a day or two to work on or something, and it'll do great. And that really does highlight what I was saying earlier, like chuds and anti-SJWs and their lazy content that they, it really does work in content creators' favor to do less substantive content. And it's been a challenge for me to try and find that balance of trying to make content that is what the algorithm wants and what gets clicks, but still have it be something of value. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It doesn't help when they also spam your feed with like 6 videos a goddamn day about the same topic.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's like you got all this in your feed, and then you got all these other ones.
Have you guys already discussed the downvoting campaign that She-Hulk experienced? Was that something? Because I kind of came in about 20 minutes after you started. The topic itself has been something that's bugging me since I heard about it. The whole hate campaign. I can't get it out of my head. The level they went to try and like make the show.
No, the more popular and anticipated and well received something is, the more they're going to push back against it. And that's just like the really fucking awful, tragic, terrible circumstances that fandom finds itself in now. And it's pretty sad. It's all part, like, those content creators make a video saying this is going to be terrible, and the audience, they don't even have to say it. The audience just does this. Like it's a routine for them now, where the thing goes up on Rotten Tomatoes or IMDb, and they're going to go and downvote the thing. Rotten Tomatoes has had to change the way that they do things, apparently, allegedly. I don't know that it's really worked, but they've been doing it since at least Captain Marvel, The Last Jedi.
Didn't they make it so you have to connect like your account to Disney Plus or something?
Yes. Yes.
Now, I want to address lastly the drama about the review bombing that was going on with IMDb and other outlets, with sock accounts going after the show and giving it like 1 star before it even came out. This goes against the narrative of the naysayers. If there are people out there, these guys who think that the show is objectively a bad series and that it's woke, it's this, that, and the other, and it's going to fail, wouldn't making sock accounts and fake accounts to ensure that the show fails disprove your entire argument that the show is objectively bad?
Dude, that is such a salient point that it's so fucking good. Did you catch that, Perp? Like,
yep.
Why do they have to do that? If it's so terrible, it should speak for itself, right? And it's so absurd. Like,
outrage makes a shit ton of money. People like to get that dopamine rush off of getting mad at something.
They can't even keep it together to make it seem
Jarbo?
legit. Like they literally had to do it like before it was even released.
Right.
They can't even hold their shit together and try to make
it's like a pre-adulation, they're just trying to hold it in, but they can't.
They saw She-Hulk. Ah!
Dirty little coon.
Yeah.
God, muscle woman can beat me. I'm so threatened, but also turned on.
They feel powerful when they can do something like that, even though it doesn't really have an effect. The only effect it has is that now articles are going to get written about how it's being review bombed, and then they get to make content that the channels do that. Oh, they're saying it's review bombed. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, I saw a couple of them like that earlier. They deny it, and that's just more content. It's all about feeding their content meal. Like it's literally all serves that purpose.
If their argument is the show is bad and it's going to fail, you shouldn't have to set it up for failure, because that shows that you're scared of the show succeeding. So you're trying to review bomb the show. It shows that there's a fear there, that you're worried about it. And I can totally respect somebody seeing a movie or a TV show and like disliking it. Like that's fine. But to go on a dislike campaign, a negative review campaign before the show even comes out, like you don't even want it to exist, shows fear. It doesn't make you a strong person. It doesn't mean that you're fighting back against some weird agenda. You literally just want something to fail without even seeing what it is.
I'm going to have to stop this video because you're making me look like I'm bad at my job.
This is why Japanese films like Rush Hour are doing better. Because you see,
oh my God,
it was so good they had to make a sequel.
That is just I cannot respect that. I think that's awful. I will never ever condone engaging in that kind of behavior. I don't think it's a good thing to do. Years ago, I used to be kind of the same way. I would see a trailer or a preview for something, and I would automatically make up my mind. I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm skeptical, or it might not be good, or, give it a little bit of space, whether or not I'm going to like it or not like it. I would be like, no, it's going to be awful. I hate it, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I used to do that, but years have gone by and I'm like, that's not the way you should treat content that people have worked hard on. Give it a chance to come out and give the public a chance to actually react to it.
Collab with it. I'm probably just going to give them my channel. Like,
does Perp come with the channel?
Like, here you go.
You're like a vestigial growth on the channel now, Perp. So yeah.
It's all included. And decide if they like it or they don't like it. These preemptive hate campaigns do not help anything. It doesn't prove your point. If anything, it shows that your point is completely fake.
And we've got another special guest joining us today. This is fucking awesome.
If it's
Matt
Jarbo, I'm leaving. It's too based. Oh man, I'm out of here.
It's
what?
Man.
What'd I do?
It's just too based. This stream is too powerful. The power levels are fucking over 9,000 right now.
Well, slay queen, slay.
Just slay queen.
Just slay queen. Just slay it. Yeah.
If I were him, I would own that like in a heartbeat. There's a lot of I've been noticing like a lot of so many funny takes surrounding this show. Like so many people have responded to my commentary saying it's just a shitty show, and I'm like, I don't think you've watched it. If I'm being honest, I don't think these guys actually sat down to give it a fair shake, because off of one 30-minute episode, it was pretty decent.
If you wait till something comes out, you don't like it, and then you want to make videos about it and why you think it's bad, fair enough. But preemptive hate campaigns are just, they completely disprove that something is objectively bad because you spend so much time convincing yourself and other people that something is going to be bad.
So fucking true. Like, why, if it's so bad, they should just sit back, kick up their feet, and watch the authentic reviews bomb the shit out of it, right?
After I made this video, I thought about it. It's sort of like a sunk cost fallacy for them, because they spend so much time making that content that they're dedicated to it. And if they admit they're wrong, it's like they wasted 2 years of their life making daily videos about like all the negative aspects of a 30-second trailer and a 1-minute blurb from an actor. Like that's pretty much what they're doing. They're investing in that. It's very telling where where their values lie. Because could you imagine if one of them spent like that entire time doing it, then they see that movie and they're like, no, I really like the movie. Like that would ruin the illusion. Like that would like all their friendships would be severed. They'd be banned from every podcast. I mean, it's this investment they have. It's wild.
Yeah, actually, real quick, I want to show this clip. It's a minute long. It speaks to the point, the point of hypocrisy and dishonesty of this whole thing.
They have a memorial to George Floyd. Oh my gosh! George Floyd Memorial Live. Look at that.
But more so than anything else, it seems like nobody really cares about She-Hulk. That people are begging for Disney to save Daredevil, but they're going to bring him back to promote a garbage series that nobody gives a fuck about. They're using this character and his reveal, his in-costume reveal, in a show no one cares about. To get people excited about a show that no one cares about. It seems like nobody really cares about She-Hulk. It seems like nobody really cares about She-Hulk.
And then I had a couple of people actually have the nerve to comment and try to insult me or something. And it's like, dude, how can you see this and not realize what's happening?
I think a lot of it is youth and targeting the youth, because a lot of it is just circle jerking around youth hobbies. And a lot of youth people are impressionable and going to listen to nerd culture stuff. And along the pipeline, they're going to come alongside this sort of.
I think there's another angle of that as well. Look at the, like, you know, look at boomers, for example, right? What do boomers want? Boomers want us to go backwards to this concept, this idea of the pristine 1950s world that in their mind, because it was their childhood, essentially. This idea of the, you know, the house with the white picket fence, 2-car family, the nuclear family, the mom stays at home, the dad works, the job pays really well, they can go on vacations, they can have this comfortable middle class life. This is what, you know, this is what old, like, you know, look at Leave It to Beaver. That's the kind of ideology. Pleasantville, if you guys remember that movie, that complete facade that they, you know, were in that particular story. That is what they want to go back to. That's what boomers want to go back to.
Yeah.
But if you look at the current generation wants the same thing. These current guys, they always go back to the childhood. You're ruining my childhood. You're destroying my childhood. It's like, bitch, that shit already happened. Like, you can't go back. It doesn't exist anymore. We've moved past it. But they want to go back to what it was like when they were a kid, when life around them was comfortable and it was easy and they could wake up on Saturday morning and have a bowl full of, like, sugar bombs and watch cartoons and not have a care in the world. But now they're like, wait, politics don't belong in my entertainment. It's like, oh, where the fuck were you?
It's kind of like similar with the He-Man thing. I really, really enjoyed the He-Man thing. The He-Man, the Kevin Smith
it was great.
One. It was fantastic. I was blown away. Powerhouse Animation Studio is really, really good. It just got review bombed to hell, making it about Teela. But the thing is, like, Teela was always a main character in the original He-Man. She was always there. Like, she was always there,
but she wasn't really fleshed out, which is what this show,
and
you know, Kevin Smith wanted to do. And then at the end, this is what I was like, you know, it's so dishonest because throughout the run of the show, they were, you know, saying that it was a bait and switch. That's one of their terms they like to use now. And then at the end, He-Man fucking becomes the big badass hero and saves the day. You know, well, they all did, but He-Man had some awesome moments in that final episode, like truly epic shit. So yeah, 87% on the actual critic tomato meter and 66% on the audience score. So half a star. I thought I've seen the worst thing on TV until I saw this show. It's embarrassing for Marvel to screen this. Like, no one reviewed it before publishing. Notice that says nothing about the show itself, and it's like it's specifically worded to be maximum insult of not just the show but Marvel, and you know what I mean. That's 11 minutes ago too, so they're still coming in.
They're still going in strong. Let's keep going until we find a Rippaverse shout out.
Oh jeez.
Disney continues to show how oblivious they are. This is yet another example of forcefully injecting wokeism as the forefront, ignored any creativity in dialogue, plot, character. Like, they're just saying parts of a narrative and saying they're bad, right? Like, they're just not creative. Yep.
Forcefully. When we just literally learned that they probably had to think and force their way of how to get this from episode 8 to episode 1. That's what they're worrying about. They're not worrying about, like, how can we inject the politics? They have other shit to think about.
This isn't even a coherent sentence. They just don't get it. You shouldn't use beloved something that is meant to appeal to everyone's hates on gender, also destroying the whole character in the process. Like, dude, slow down. At least slow down and try and, you know, say what you're trying to say.
Maybe you should have someone read that before he publishes it.
Even this, like, mildly not agenda driven review is still, you know, tainted with some casual misogyny and shit. It's not as bad as some of these guys are saying, although if being hit on or catcalled is such a hardcore trauma, which is not what they said.
She
in the
literally
show.
said being murdered. She said murdered.
Exactly.
Did you forget about that part?
And I've seen a couple of people complaining about that, like, oh, women don't have to, like, have you looked at, crime stats and seen, we won't get into it, but yeah, it is something women have to worry about.
I want to point out the whole catcalling thing, and this is something I think about every time I see one of those guys publish that. And it's so weird to me that a lot of these like heterosexual guys understand what sexual harassment is when a gay man would like even look at them, but then they don't seem to understand how that applies to women when they're out talking to women. Like,
Fair point.
They're like, oh, well, this gay
point.
guy looked at me or winked at me and I'm so offended, or he had the nerve to buy me a drink when I was out at a bar and I had to turn it down. Like to them, those things are egregious actions. But if a woman talks about being treated that way, it's just like, oh, they're being feminist. They're being too hard on men. It's a ridiculous, like, it's the same thing, but they don't even connect the dots.
It's a non-existent standard. There's I just don't think that a lot of these people have any standards of ethics, so they just listen to other people to give them their standard of ethics.
Well, I think it's possible that, like, if you look at, let's say, Ryan Kennel, I would argue that that's a prime case for radicalization right there. Because if you go back and you find his earlier content, he was a lot more measured. Still a dick, but a lot more measured. And then over time, he's just become this, like, massively hateful bigot that any little thing is going to set him off. And it's the way YouTube operates is, like, again, it rewards that behavior. And I think that's the key factor that a lot of people don't take into account here.
Yeah.
Is that the platform rewards the behavior. And trust me, I'm fully aware of how much it rewards.
We talked about that a little while ago. I don't know.
Yeah. Like
yeah,
in 20, and I'll be in 2016, I made nearly 70 grand. And a lot of that was Ghostbusters. But I stand by my coverage of it because I only criticized what they were saying. I still went to go see the movie. And I tried to like it. That's the other side of that. Yeah. And but also a lot of it was the election was that year as well. And then also everything else coming off of the whole, anti-SJW sphere where things were back then. But again, YouTube just rewards it. And even now in the adpocalypse, it's been 5.5 years. And that spurred it so bad because people had to keep upping the ante in order to keep that dopamine hit coming to their audience. And it just goes to show you how quickly this stuff has escalated. I mean, take a look at modern politics and was it culture? Is it politics is downstream from culture? Isn't that the term?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're interlinked for sure. I don't know which way it flows, but yeah, it's for anybody that's watching that doesn't know, Matt Jarbo used to be one of the main culprits. As he likes to remind me, he's basically single-handedly responsible for Gamergate. So
no.
Should I do a deep dive?
I am not. Go ahead. Go right ahead. There's a lot of it.
I thought it was the women trying to make games fault.
No, God, I would love
the reason that Matt Jarbo is my friend and I'm proud to go on his stream on a regular basis and happy to have him on here is because he's completely willing to, look back at it's what we were talking about earlier with commenters that tell me they're embarrassed they used to be in this shit. And it's like, no, man, you got out, be the people that should be embarrassed are the ones that are still doing it after all this time, and it's even kind of more impressive, honestly, for somebody like you you were benefiting from it. I know that the profit motive changed due to YouTube and circumstances over time, but still the fact that you just said no, and then now you're doing the exact opposite. You're basically just calling out these kind of grifters and hateful people. And you've talked about how your daughters are like, you think about what kind of world they're going to live. That's amazing. Like, and that's the kind of thing that I think people need to see that type of example.
Now I know who Matt is. Okay. I remember your channel from before. I was like, wait a minute.
You're already hovering over the block button, aren't you?
No. Right $3 Theater. I remember I was like $3 Theater. I know I've seen these other guys on there before, but I didn't remember anything. And then I was like, Mundane Matt. I remember that channel. Yeah. I don't remember anything egregious from your channel, but I just remember one day you kind of disappeared and I was like, whatever happened to that guy?
I flagged people and it came out. That's what happened. That was 4 years ago, like a couple weeks back. Celebrate the 4-year Boulder, right?
The funniest part is that Ethan Ralph has racked up a bigger flag history
Oh, he already had one, man. I had a small 13, that was it. He's up high now. He's actively going after kiwi farms, like trying to like back with Keffels to like tag team Cloudflare to go after kiwi farms. And then you've got
giant
what else
shit show misery.
Oh yeah. Well, then there's like an America First guy that's like just got busted for like credible threat and like I guess CP or whatever. So like everyone's going after that, and Ralph's over, working with Nick Fuentes, and I'm just like, man, I'm glad I'm not in this shit anymore. I can just sit back and laugh. I don't know. I don't think I could care. Like one of my friends was like going crazy and shit. Like we called out Vito last night for his take. I'm friends with Vito. I like Vito quite a bit, and I'm like, nah, your take on She-Hulk was bad. And then because he says he didn't finish watching the episode, so I called it out on Twitter. He says he went back and he watched it. And he was like, where is the jokes? I wanted to laugh. And I'm all like, you were being told a story by the lady who wrote the Pickle Rick fucking episode. Like, I'm sorry, it didn't have Pickle Rick right away, Like Green Jen, it didn't have any of that shit.
Which by the way, on our stream the other day, we looked at my video about the quartering from spring of 2020, where they had announced that they were working on the show She-Hulk, and he tweeted, something about, they're making it a comedy. Nobody's going to care about this. And I made a video about it where I was like, this is him planting the seed of profit for later. Of course, he's going to care about it when it comes out, because that's how the grift is done. Start setting the narrative way early on. And of course, now they're saying nobody cares about it or that it's bad and all that.
Corporate lies.
And there were a couple of people in chat that were like, how did you know? How did you predict that? And I was like, it wasn't a prediction. You just look at the patterns, the cycles of this shit. It's obvious when you step back and look at it.
It's an easy paycheck.
It is. It really, really is. Right? Like it really is. Like, okay, so like on the day after election night, right? Back in 2016, I did 2 videos. I did one, why Trump won and why Hillary lost. Which one do you think got more views? Why Hillary lost. Exactly. And that was also, as far as my channel goes, that was the highest profit I ever made on that channel in any day ever. That was over $500 in that one day. And then after that, every day until the end of the year was over $300 a day. Like, wow. That is just how much money. And I was only pulling in like maybe like 20,000 views a day. But like, that is how much money was being pumped in to YouTube advertising